Hello and welcome to the Healing Hangout with Heather. I'm Heather, the host, and this episode is Let's Get to Know Your Host, Heather. I am obviously Heather. I have a lot of traumas, a lot of different experiences that I can bring to the table. Do I want to call it the table? Yeah, I'm going to bring it to the table because while they're traumas and they've made me who I am today, they are definitely something I can use to impact others. I'm a mom of 3 boys. One is my stepson. He is 16 turning 17. I have my firstborn who's 14. He has severe ADHD and ODD. ODD is Officient Defiant Disorder. I can never say it right, so just bear with me. And then my youngest, who just turned 11 in January, has anxiety and OCD. Let's just say our house was always all over the place. Bryce was great from when he was a baby till he was 1 year old. He used to sleep amazingly. Great. It was freaking amazing. And then after he turned 1, it was like never ending. He didn't go to bed till like 2 o'clock in the morning. He just was always moving, going. That dude can ask you a million questions in like 2 seconds. It's crazy. And my mind isn't even alive in the morning, but he's just spitfiring stuff to me. And I'm just like, what? I don't know that answer. Let's look it up. So I've been dealing with that. I also have a medical condition. It's called complex regional pain syndrome. It's also known as RSD or CRPS. It is the highest on the McGill pain scale. It's higher than cancer. Most people wouldn't know that I live with it because I like to pretend that it doesn't exist, because really everybody has made me feel crazy in it. So I second guess myself on a regular about it because I don't think I have it all the time, because everybody else seems to think I don't have it. I didn't know that. They could, tell what my body's like. But that's a whole nother story. So let's get into it. Let's start when I was a little girl. This is my dog, Mo. He is one of our kids' emotional support pet. And then we have another little one named Arlo. He's our other one. And that is really Jason's puppy. He is Jason's dog. But he snuggles with me. He will paw at me to open the blanket for him to come. Then we have 2 big dogs. We have 2 cats, a boy and a girl. And then we have 8 chickens and 4 ducks, 2 males and 2 females. Yes, I have all these animals. And I just bought my house in 2022, November 2022. So yeah, I've added all that. I have a pool inside of a pool because apparently square pools are not in anymore. Only around pools, so you can't even get a square pool service. And I called everywhere and was like, how do you buy a house with this and you can't even get it serviced? So that was just another one of our records. But if anybody's buying a house nowadays, it is not like it used to be. We just found out that somebody jerry-jigged our whole furnace and air conditioning up. So yeah, we walked into that in our first year. Christmas, we did Home Alone. I spent about $3,000 in hotel rooms because my brother was living with me. So at that point we had 5 people, 6 people total when Patrick's with us, and 4 dogs that we had to go into a hotel because we could not stay in the house. So our life is always a wild ride, and I mean, sometimes I like it and sometimes I really just I'm like, can I have enough? Enough is enough. I can't. Here. Excuse me while I put him in his spot. That's Mo. So this is his spot. Anyways, so let's start about it. Let's talk. I was born in Jamestown, New York, which is Western New York. The state, let me emphasize the state. I'm not from the city. I've never been to the city. I need to make it there. But I'm from the city, not the city, I'm sorry, let me re-clarify. I'm from the state where Lucille Ball was born and raised. If I remember right, one of my mom's stories, she told me that Lucille Ball had her name carved in one of the light poles, the big poles, the electric poles or whatnot, and she tried cutting it out because she really wanted it. Now Jamestown has museums and all kinds of stuff for her there. She's painted everywhere. So that's how I've always told people where I'm from. I'm from Lucille Ball Town, or an hour south of Buffalo, an hour north of Erie. I mean, just the western side. Sometimes you'll hear my accent. It's more with the A's than anything. Everybody up in New York says I sound like I'm from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh says I sound like I'm from New York. So it's just like, I am who I am. And sometimes you're just going to hear the slangs, which, is what it is. I can't change that. Alright, so I was born in Jamestown. Like I said, Lucille Ball. I was born to my mom, Sue, and my dad, Bill. Or his name is William. This is Arlo. You want over here too? Oh, come on. That's Arlo, and they need to be under the blanket. They have an obsession. So, welcome to my life. So, I'm not really going to edit a lot of my podcast. I really want you guys to see how I function in my life and see how things just always are going in my life. The kids are in bed right now, or pretending to be in bed. I'm sure Bracey's fidgeting on his phone and playing on his phone like he's not supposed to. Ryder knocks out, so I never have to worry about that. Kid can fall asleep anywhere like that. Snap of the fingers, dude. Snap of the fingers. So he's probably asleep, but Bryce never sleeps because he's like me. Totally insomnia. Alright, so I was born in Jamestown. My parents were together only for a short period of time. Some of the stories my mom used to tell me that she had a boyfriend before that she was with for a very long time. Well, for a couple years, and then her parents chose my dad, which I haven't really clarified on that to get that clarification on that story. I've learned a lot about my mom through new connections that I've made, as well as rebuilding relationships with I've learned truly a lot about my mom. My mom came from a family that had mom and dad in the house. My grandma always cooked, and as I found out through my aunt with our new relationship that we built, my grandma would go through the house with a white glove and wipe stuff. My aunt was the one that had to clean the most, and my mom was the youngest. I feel like she got away with a lot more because she was younger than everybody else. I don't remember how big the age gap was. That's the only thing I don't remember. My dad, he has a handicapped brother. His name is Mike. I haven't seen Mike since I graduated from high school. I do know that he's in a group home, and he's well taken care of, and my Aunt Kathy always makes sure he's great. My dad truly struggles with that, and that truly reason why his drug and alcohol is because he doesn't want to deal with anything. So my dad is an alcoholic and a druggie. I'm not sure what his choice of drugs are. I do know he loves to drink, and he loves to point fingers at everybody else but himself. If you weren't gonna follow what he wanted, it wasn't gonna work. Let's just say that. He's very sexist, thinks women can't do anything. So every day of my life, I will prove to him that I could do anything and everything. He wasn't really always part of my life. He would come and go. I think it was more of a beneficiary of what he wanted to do. My mom said when I was born, my dad really didn't want me because I was not a girl. I was not a boy. So I was not a boy. I came out a girl, obviously. He was very upset about it. My mom told me my name was supposed to be Jocelyn. What the heck kind of name is that? What the heck is Jocelyn? Anyways, my name ended up being Heather, even though Heather was very popular back in the 85s. Every homeroom, I probably had 2 or 3 in there. You know, my mom and dad, they had obviously a crazy I can't even say that word. How do I want to put it? Big, dramatic, toxic relationship. My dad worked at Bush and he worked down at the factory, but he wasn't really home that often. So I know my mom used to follow him around. And then when things went the opposite way, where my mom finally left him alone, my dad would slice our tires to breaking into the house we're at. At one point when I was younger, I went into my room and, you know, like a couple minutes in there waiting, I'm guessing he was waiting to see if my mom would appear. And he grabbed my leg from underneath the bed and scared the living crap out of me. And ever since then, and I probably still do now. No, I haven't done it in about I would say 5 years into my relationship with Jay. I stopped running through the room and just diving on my bed because I was so scared. When I lived by myself, I did that all the time. Nobody would ever know that. I hated nighttime. I was always worried something was under my bed or somebody. So, I really just struggled when it came to that, and it was probably something that I did not want to deal with anymore, which doesn't surprise me. My dad said I was always a daddy's girl. I wanted to hang out with my dad. My mom wasn't always the nicest person. And once again, let me be clear on this. I'm telling my story, and it's my story, mine. I have no ill feelings towards my mother, and I have no ill feelings towards my dad. They are who they are, and they chose what they chose. I chose what I chose, and I'm the one that's living with what I have to deal with, just as much as they're living with what they had to. Well, my mom's in heaven with God, so she's seen life a lot differently. I do remember when I was 2, I believe, I ended up calling my mom's best friend because my dad beat my mom with the jack from the car. He actually broke her collarbone and knocked her out unconscious. As my mom told me this story, because I told her I remembered a lot of this, I remembered the flashbacks that I get is I remember sitting on the stairs holding the stairwells and watching my mom walking around the room trying to get away from my dad, and my dad just nonstop going. I am not going to say that my mom does not have the flaws of, I'm sure she antagonized and said the things she does, because I have that kind of same personality at times too. I'm not going to deny that. But back then, the phones are not like they used to be. They had speed dials, so I speed dialed her best friend, and her best friend obviously ended up calling the cops. But later on through the years, when I talked to my mom about this story, she told me, she goes, did you know that there was eye hooks on your guys' door? I had to eye hook your guys' bedroom door so that you wouldn't get out because you were a monkey. I literally climbed everywhere. I love climbing. I used to climb trees. She would find me on top of the flagpoles. Like, I did all kinds of crazy stuff when I was a kid. We'll just state that. Yeah, I was a clubby monkey. Somehow I had gotten out, I got myself unlocked out of my room, and I remember sitting on the stairs by myself for a little bit and going downstairs and calling and then going back upstairs. And I remember this is the last of the flashback I remember, is sitting at the top of the stairs with my brother in my hands. My mom said I broke into his room, took the eye hook off, got him, and was holding him. I remember some of it. I don't know how I did anything. It's crazy to think that you will remember something like that, where most people think that you don't remember that stuff. Well, you do, and it kind of changes you a little bit. My dad and mom never had a great relationship at all. And of course, oh, you don't want to listen? Fine, you go live with your dad. I didn't want to live with my dad. My dad was a womanizer. He believed women didn't do anything. He would lock up the food. He would tell us when we could eat and drink. He just wanted to control every aspect of your life. And it was just not for me through the years. When I was younger, he was gone for a while. He would come and go. He would see us for a little bit. I hate football. I know I like football. Oh, that sounds so crazy. I dislike football because every Sunday my dad would watch the football and I would have to babysit my brother like I always had to do. So it was just, I didn't always get to be a child. I had to help take care of my brother. You know, my brother was born with a heart defect. As I found out in Pittsburgh, his heart did not develop a pulmonary artery valve. That there's a valve that goes in your heart, comes out. I'm sorry if I am not pronouncing it well. It was underdeveloped and not wide enough. So back in the day, they opened it and then put stents in or patches. Well, now he actually has a pig valve. So New York has not been able to fix Willie's heart since 2002. They told us that they're never going to be able to fix his heart, that it was just going to leak and he was going to, later on pass. Well, I got him down to Pittsburgh to get another view, and I've been trying my hardest to get this from my mom to get him to come down because we have some amazing doctors down here. I could not speak any higher than what I've got to experience down here. There's some amazing, amazing doctors. And then there's some that are just, I could tell you all about those ones. So, I had that stuff happening. So my dad was an alcoholic. So my mom had boyfriends. We moved to a new house because my dad was having issues, would not leave us alone. At one point we had apartment, and my mom's best friend lived above us. My mom never knew how to do my hair. It was either, whoop, let's pump this up, get those babies up there in a headband, or just a ponytail. I got lots of perms, and funny now that my hair is curly on its own. So funny. So I used to get perms all the time, and we used to do hair dye and all that. I used to have a skunk stripe. Oh my God. I'll never forget. We had some good times. I'm not going to deny that I didn't have some good times. I have a hard time remembering some of these good times because a lot of bad happened. And I hope while I'm healing through it and talking about it, instead of holding all this information in me, I'm hoping that this will be a best part of my healing journey, is letting it all out. I've held it in for so long. I've never been able to express my story and just say it. At this point, my videos are going out. I don't care what anybody has to say anymore to me. I've heard some horrible stuff in my life. And here I am still. Those words aren't going to do anything to me. So, if you want to hurt my feelings, go at it. You may hear them in the background, but I'll get past it. Because in the end, words are only words. Actions are actions. And I have the responsibility of how I'm going to be reactive to you or what people say. If I was such a bad person from my whole life that I'm going to express on here, then how did I make it here? Think about that. How did I make it here if I'm such a bad person? Did I have my stumbles and falls? Heck yeah, I did. Oh my God. If you didn't, how would you say you're normal? Oh, let me restate that. There is no such thing as normal. I don't even know what normal is. You are not a human if you haven't gone through all of this. I don't feel like anybody in life has not hit no traumas or deaths to anything. I feel like everybody has had something like this affect them at some point in their life, no matter what. As for traumas, I feel they happen to everybody so differently than they do for me. So, my dad was very abusive to my mom. And then, we had to move to new homes. we moved to a new home, and my mom met this guy who worked at the gas station down the, like, literally, it was our house, the house, and then the gas station. She moved him in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Later, I learned when I went to college for psychology, and I really wanted to learn how I can help my mom or help myself, so I did not become her. Yes, I will say that. I did not want to become my mom. I wanted to be something different. I love my mom very dearly, but she was very codependent. She needed to have a man, and I'm not sure why. And that was her way and what she needed. I do not shun her for it. I would say me and my mom had our peace when she was with her cancer. And we will get to that. So my mom moves, she goes out partying. This is back in the day where my mom had a group of women, like 3 other moms, and they all got us all together, and they would all the kids would be together, and we'd all babysit each other. So I've known some people since diapers, and others later in life. Ow. So yeah, so in the 80s and 90s is not like what now. Our parents would just go out and come home with their leather jackets and their jumps, their little, oh my god, jumpers. I have pictures of my mom. I'm gonna have to bust those out. Of her and her outfits because they're so funny now. But looking back, I never understood because it was just weird. My mom would go from one guy, and she always went from one guy and then would be in a long-term relationship with them. So it was more of, I don't know what. She wasn't like a social dater. Oops, sorry. Let's move that like that. There we go. So, how do I want to... She didn't just like meet guys and then just bring them home. I mean, she did try to get to know them, and then, you know, they would all of a sudden move in 2 weeks. So this guy moves in, he works at the gas station, you know. He doesn't seem like a bad guy. He didn't seem like a bad guy. He came in my life when I was 6. He left my life when I was 14. During those times, from 6 to 14, he touched me. He took my innocence. He did things to me that he should have never done. And I have hated every day of it because he got away with it. Yes, I did report it. It took me a while. I didn't report it till I was 12. At that time, I ended up... What happened on that time? So I told my mom when I was 6 when it first initially happened. I remember I was at my aunt and uncle's house. I call him my rich aunt and uncle. I speak about my mom's side of the family as rich because that's how I always saw them as kids. So just understand that I saw them as rich, and they had money. They had everything that I always dreamed of, and that's how I saw it. You know, obviously my brother had a lot of medical problems, so I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. So I spent summers with my grandparents. I was always there. I was either with my grandma and sewing, or me and my grandpa would be sitting in the sunroom watching or not watching the squirrels, him cussing about the squirrels because they were getting into his bird feeders. And we used to eat Cheerios with bananas. I had some really good memories there. And then the neighbor across the street I used to hang out with all the time too. And the Skip It. I don't even think anybody knows what a Skip It is anymore. To chalk. I always enjoyed my summers when it came to my grandparents. It was just a more of a relief. A different kind of relief, because my grandma was pretty anal still. Very anal. Love you, Grandma, but you're an anal. So, I never really spoke about it. I was very quiet. I just dealt with it. Sometimes it would happen literally with my mom sitting on the other side of the couch while I was laying beside him. And there was nothing I could do because I was told to be quiet and shut up. When I did speak about it, I told my best friend at that time. And looking back, man, that my best friend had to hold a lot of weight. To hear somebody tell you that and then to help guide them through it and then watch them get gaslighted was probably the hardest thing that person had to do. And I'm forever grateful. And what I'm realizing is a lot of my friendships, no, I don't want to say deteriorated. I'm going to say deteriorated. I push more of them back because I think my trauma was too much for me. I associated that person with my trauma. And that's sad because I had a great relationship with him. And I should state this. I have never been good at keeping relationships with other females. I think that I don't have to say I think that. As I've gone through therapy with my children and family-based, what I've learned is a lot about myself. Oh my God. So much about myself that was scary. I have attachment issues. I detach very quickly. I don't like to get hurt. I put up a lot of walls and I don't trust anybody. Nope. I don't trust anybody. I don't feel anybody's going to be able to do what I need them to do unless it's me, because nobody has ever done that for me. So, when I finally reported, I had told my best friend we had made dinner for his family and such. His family was freaking amazing. They even supported me. Like I worked for them, so it made it already awkward for them as well. But I'm forever grateful for them because they believed me while I was being told no. So by the time I told somebody, it had happened for 5, almost 6 years by the time I finally told somebody. And I could tell things in detail, conversations, things. And I'm not going to deny that I wasn't a crazy kid too. I wasn't getting the attention I wanted. I was upset that my brother was getting the attention. I mean, my brother used to make sure that I would get in trouble for things that he was doing. So I was grounded a lot. My mom would say, your curfew on the weekdays was, 8 o'clock? And it's not 8 o'clock be in the driveway or sitting on the front porch or standing on the back door or what. You had to literally be in her face on the second or you were grounded, period. So let's just say I was grounded all the time. I have poor time management and it still travels into adulthood. Ha! I was a track star. I love running. They called me fairy toes because I would run on my toes. I didn't run heel toe because I had tight hamstrings, so that was I used to just run toes. I ran 400 and 800, and I ran hurdles. I also played softball. I played softball from 7 all the way up. I would say that would be my biggest output. That's where everything went. Every bit of me went out in those. I almost had the title. I could have had the title in 4th grade. I went and ran. I was a really fast girl, and I needed to go onto the championship. But at this time is when I came clean, and I ended up in the psych ward. I'm gonna say I went to the psych ward. I went to the mental health institution to get help because I was not getting that at home. So I had faked a suicide. I dumped a bunch of pills on my bathroom counter and told my mom that I took a whole bunch of pills. I really didn't. I just needed out of there. And that's all I knew how to do. And then the second time, I have to be honest, I can't remember all these details, like exact. It's been many years, but I remember the events. The second time I went was 2 days before my 13th birthday. And I went in and I was there for 30 days. I called it my vacation. I tried running away. So the only way I got there is I ran away. The cops brought me home, and my mom and that person sat at the end of my bed while I was hiding underneath it, and my mom on the other side asking me trillions of questions and telling me it was all my fault. She even made me call the whole family and tell them I was lying. Because foster care, the CPS left me at my mom's house for 2 days after I reported. They called her and told her what I said, and I lived in hell for 2 days. I understand my mom didn't believe me at that time. It was probably the most hurtful thing I ever went through. I was never believed. I was told to hush it. I always lie. I always do these things. And I'm not going to say that I didn't tell fibs, because I notice now, like, I really strive hard not to lie to people. And what I realize is when people catch me off guard and scare the living crap out of me, and I have like an anxious response in my chest, I tell a little fib. Even though in my head I'm trying to tell the truth, the fib comes out. And then I look like a liar. In reality, it's just a reactive response. And then I correct myself. So I don't want to say I'm a liar. I just get scared and I just immediately respond, because that's what I had to do my whole life. I mean, these kids have no idea what the wooden spoon, click, click, like if you heard this off the wall, like you knew what that was coming. If you knew if your first and middle name came out, you knew what was coming. That spoon or that wooden fork was coming off that wall. Crazy. Yeah, that wall. So yes, my mom was with this person for a very long time, during the whole time. So I do know the first time I went in, I was at one foster home for 3 months. My mom would not let me take any clothes or anything with me, so I had to buy all new stuff, and most of it was from Walmart. She made sure to let me know about that. At the first foster home, it was a really good family. I enjoyed myself. I actually helped raise a little baby there. His name, I'm not going to say his name, but whenever he wants to say, hey, that's me, he will show. At one point later on, I went and watched him play trumpet at Friendly's. And my name is Heyday. They really made me see life a little bit differently, their way. Not only that, I had to give up my paper route. So I worked and did a paper route, I believe. I did it for a couple years, because I did it with my neighbor behind my house. Me and Derek. There it is. Derek. Me and Derek would rotate, cover each other on our paper routes. Man, we made some money on our paper routes. I don't give a crap what anybody has to say. I made my money. I know one year I made like $1,000, and I helped my mom with Christmas. I used to get rhubarb pie. I had breakfast. I had everything. I never had to worry. I always sneaked the dog, and one time I snuck the dog on my Doberman Sheba, on an ice storm, and I paid price, because I hit ice patch, and she, oh man. And the neighbor was like, would you like to call your mom? I was like, oh no, I'm gonna get grounded. No, I'm good. I just got ungrounded. No, thank you. I used to sneak my brother. He would get me in trouble, because he would just tell everybody what the heck we're doing. I used to steal all the change to get penny candy, or, glaze my little donuts, Little Debbie's and stuff. Like, these kids have no idea what they're missing out on. I used to ride my bike every day with my friends, my group of friends. We would get on our bikes and we were gone all day long. I had legs of steel, man. Looking back, how the heck did we do that? I was the only girl most of the time in my group of friends, so I didn't really hang out with girls a lot. I really struggled with a lot of my friends' relationships when it came to girls. I'm not sure why, and it might have been what I was dealing with my mom and such. So I honestly have no idea. I still struggle with it now. It might just be my personality. I don't know. guys are just easier for me to talk to than females. Weird. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Why? So once, all this went down, like I said, I went to one foster home that I remember. And then the second stint, I went to 3 others. I went to one that was literally in Timbuktu, and I started doing church. I would walk there an hour and an hour back, an hour to go get ice cream, an hour back. This family, you were treated as like nobody. You were just it. Just there for money. I really don't remember that stay too much. And then there was another home. I honestly can't really remember it. And then my last home, the foster care system had to put me in because my mom said I was a bad kid. I went to therapeutic home. So my last foster home, I was there for a full year. Freaking blessing in disguise. Full out Italian family. I learned Italian. I learned how to swear. I watched all the ladies play cards. And then I met Marianne. I met Tom. I met Adam. Well, Adam was dating Melissa, my foster sister, who was in the wheelchair. And I had learned a lot. So Melissa's in a wheelchair. And she's T4. So she can't feel from her neck down. Melissa, you correct me if you see me. And she is in a wheelchair, so she does need a lot of help, like caffeine and stuff. So I learned a lot of medical stuff through her. And I also learned unconditional love. When I went to Patty's house, I couldn't even express my feelings. I literally was hiding under the bed in a fetus position because I couldn't express what was going on. I didn't know how to. So Patty had a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. She taught me how to communicate. She taught me how to express. She taught me how not to be too cocky, because cocky could get you in trouble. I learned how to swear in Italian. I learned tough love. I was there, and I had other siblings that were foster care kids that came in. One that came in with a baby, and I learned a lot about helping raise a baby. I wish I would have just stayed because I chose to go home. At 15, I wanted to give my mom a chance again. She had a new boyfriend. The other guy got to leave, but he was, while I was at the foster care, he was there with my mom the whole time. People watched him eat me up with his eyes, to his crappy grin, to it all. And the only thing I truly remember in this whole ordeal that really has stayed with me forever is I will never ever understand how this psychiatrist made me sit there with my mom beside me, my mom, and the person that caused sexual abuse to me, and told me to look at him in his eyes and tell him what he did to me. What? I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. Nope, couldn't do it. Crazy, right? Who would make a child do that? My dad was with me during this whole process, and then he decided to leave. So my dad comes and goes throughout this story because he is just a womanizer, and once he gets caught up in his stuff, he ends up leaving. So he had packed all his stuff because I chose not to live with him. He locked up food and smoked all day in his house, and I didn't like it. And I didn't want to choose him. I mean, what kid want to choose between their parents? Literally, they fight all the time at each other. So if you choose one, then the other one's not going to talk to you and won't love you. If you choose the other one, then the other one's not going to talk to you or love you. So it was like, I had no winning battle there. There was no winning. That's freaking crazy to say that. There was no winning. My mom stayed with him for a while, and then he cheated on her with her friend, and then she left him and got a new boyfriend. So I thought life would be different, and I went home to move with her. During this time, Tom and I were friends and have been friends probably the whole time. He dated my friends, and then he was honestly the one I wanted to date and lose my V card to. All planned. I had it all thought out. He was the one I wanted to be with. It was just something about him. We had a great friendship. There was just something about him at that time. Looking back, wow, we were weird. But we used to go to the mall and play in the arcade there. His mom made all my birthday cakes. I haven't had a carrot cake since she made my wedding cake. I will not eat one. I miss her dearly. She played a big part in my life. And I'm truly grateful for the relationship I had with Tom and Adam. And I know that we all have had our struggles together. And I know that we've all came back together and just made peace as best as we can. I'm not going to say that I was perfect at all. Heck no. I was a teenager that was trying to figure out life. Period. So I moved back to my mom's house at age 15. I was there, no joke, a year and 3 weeks. 3 weeks after I turned 16. My mom and Tom did not get along. She didn't want me to be with him and blah, blah, blah. And, obviously I'm going to be rebellious and want to be with Tom. So, obviously I'm with Tom. At one point, I've been playing softball forever. So I was playing softball for my sophomore year. And I had always packed multiple pairs of clothes in my softball bag because I had never... After I turned 16, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and I just knew I didn't want to take any more stuff anymore. So I packed clothes. This one practice I left, I pulled a muscle in my leg, and Tom was not allowed to drive me home, so he followed me all the way home. And then I looked at him and said, "Take my clothes out of that bag and keep your phone available." And he looked at me and goes, "Why?" I said, "I just don't have a good feeling tonight." Stop it. Excuse me, Mo was being crazy. No. By the way, this is back in the day when internet uses your phone line. So I had made sure to say it. I pulled a muscle, went in the house, put ice on my thing. I wanted to go to my old foster home just to decompress because it was just... There was a lot going on in my house, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. And when me and my mom go at it, it was just... We went at it. It would get bad. At one point, she would lock all 3 doors for me not to be able to get out. So I went to anger management and all kinds of stuff, and they told me to go for walks if I think my anger is getting out of control. Well, my mom didn't like that. There was 3 doors, so I'd have to try to make it through all 3 doors. Well, this time, my mom was talking to my foster mom, and I was asking to go, and my mom was saying no. And then, I don't know what happened, her boyfriend got up, and got in my face, and then grabbed me and threw me down. I missed the coffee table about this much. This much, my head missed it, and I just got up and was like, this is how it's gonna be. And my foster mom was on the phone. I just looked at them and I just chucked it. Made it as fast as I could through all the doors. I had to do it multiple times, just so you know, to get the first door, then to get the second door, and, go back. By the time I hit the 3rd door, I only made it halfway out the door, and my mom slammed half my body in it, so I was already hurting from softball. It just hurt more. And then I left. None of you guys are going to know this, besides people my age, is I went to a payphone and called Dom to come get me. Praise the Lord, Marion wasn't on the internet, because, man, that woman was on the internet all the time. And he came and got me. So, we went out and went to my foster mom's house out where I was last at. And I had asked if we could just have a conversation about what I should do with my life. Because I wanted to see if I could go back into foster care to her house. And, Tom, Marianne, Melissa, Adam, everybody sat at that table and talked about my life and what we should do. And even though Marianne and her kids were going through their own thing, she opened her door for me. Tom and I were supposed to sleep in separate rooms, but like I said, I struggled sleeping at night, and Tom catered to me. He literally catered the crap to me at times. We'll say that at times. Me and him went through a lot. And I have to say, like, moving in with him and going through all that struggle and him watching all of that, while he himself, I'm not going to speak on his family stuff, but his family was going through things while I was with me there and I was living with them. I'm not going to say that I didn't have my conflicts with anybody in the house. Oh, I had my conflicts. I'm not going to say that I didn't take whatever came with it, because I did. I'm not going to deny that. I made a lot of mistakes, but the one thing is I always went back to Tom, not to be with him, but that was my best friend. He knows pretty much more things than I would want anybody else to know. He knows all my dirty little secrets. That's scary as hell. Sorry, Tom. I'm hoping at some point in this journey he comes and joins on. I've known Tom since I was 13. That's a very long time. What? I'm 39 now. What, 26 years? Ew, what? Man. So that will be another story at some point. So let's break it down. So, here I'm making a choice at 16 what I should do. I'm having to give up softball. My dream was to go to the Olympics as a softball player. I love I was crazy with softball. I love softball all day. I was sad I had to give it up. So once I moved out, all I did was work, clean, and school. My junior year, obviously I had a full year. Tom wasn't in school. Was Tom in school? Yeah. Me and Tom dated my sophomore and junior year, and then my senior year is when we broke up. I worked at Burger King. I had a blast. I used to walk to and from work. Tom and I partied like any other teenager, to partying in the woods, partying at the house. Like, everybody would hang out with us. We had the clan of people, and we were the house. Everybody came to our house. Let's move it through. Sorry, this is a lot. Whew. I'm going to pause there and say this. Looking back, I'm realizing that Tom and I went through a lot together. Not only that, we had to grow up a lot together. And I'm not going to say we had it perfect by all means. We did our best. Not only that, we had Lily join us. Aaliyah was always with us. She was like between 2 and 4. The girl is my partner in crime. Anytime we clean the house, she would help me clean. And anytime I would pick up Marianne's like recliner chair, money would fall out, and me and her would go get ice cream and give the rest to Marianne. Or get her a Code Red, or get her McDonald's. Looking back, wow. Like teenage years, it was crazy. Like, me and him had an adult relationship, pretty much had a child too with us most of the time. Leah was always with us. Not at parties, we did not bring her parties, but we went to Guernsey Hollow, and I'm really empathetic. And when I brought her to Guernsey Hollow, and you go out and touch the cross, and I know everybody knows what the heck I'm talking about that's from our area. You go in there and touch the cross, right? Well, me and Leah touched the cross, and our freaking lantern blew out at the same time, and then red eyes started following us through the woods. Not only that, Tom's car, or your car, just doesn't work at certain points on that road. I will never forget Tom starting his car as a Honda and it rolling down the hill with our friends in the back seat. We had to go walk and get help. Oh my god. I have some great stories from my teenagehood, and I want to continue to talk about this because, we're only in the teenagehood, and the next episode can be about, my next status life. But I want to say, like, I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I've been through a lot. I am a mom of 3. I'm a wife. I am a person with chronic pain and a rare condition and a lot of other issues coming along. I was molested. I was raped in college. I overly had too much fun when I was, after I broke up with Tom, we'll just say that. I didn't have too many relationships after that. I didn't want any. I just wanted to have fun. I didn't want to be locked down. I just wanted to be myself. And not that Tom ever did that, because that was not him at all. Not at all. I was probably the more needy one and trying to figure out life. And looking back, I am grateful for him and his family. But I do truly feel sad at times knowing that I put a lot more on their plate when they didn't really need it. That makes sense. I know Mary Ann wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I wore that lady's peach prom dress to prom with Tom, and she showed my picture to everybody, and Aaliyah used to call all of Tom's other girlfriends Heather, and they hated it. I used to giggle. And, later in adulthood, all me and Mary Ann would call and talk crap about Tom. Sorry, Tom. We would just crack jokes about what he was doing, or you would just hear him stomping down the stairs talking to her, and then we would just hoot and holler. I used to bring all my kids' clothes, my boys' clothes up to him, because he has boys, so we both got stuck with boys, but he ended up having a girl at some point. But I would bring up my boys' clothes, because his kids would grow into mine, and that would help him and Mary Ann out. Me and Tom had our flaws, but we're always going to care about each other, and you should always care about people that have been there through your hard part. Even if you burn bridges, I think you need to realize that you can look back and you can work through them if you want to be a better person and that person wants to be a better person. And I hope that Tom and I can come on and talk about our story, because I want other kids to know that, yeah, me and him went through what we did, but look at where we are. You can make it. I can make it. We just only made it and touched just part of just getting out of foster care and what I was doing at 16. New York only allowed you to work 15 hours a week, so I survived off $53 a week. At one point when I broke up with Tom, I went and moved back with my mom. It lasted 2 weeks, and I moved back out into my friend's house. And while I waited for me to find an apartment, I found an apartment with one of my other friends, which I'm very grateful for. But I only got to have $3 a week to survive on. I learned a lot very quickly, and it is sad. No, sorry, Mo's being crazy. And I just want to end this as stating, I hope you got to know who I am, and I hope to see you here at the journey, and I can't wait to see what this all brings. And my next episode will break down my life more. I'm sure you're going to learn more about me as we go, and I hope I learn more about you. And let's start talking about stuff that's going on in this world, because I don't want to be left out here hanging. How about you? Until next time, see you guys.